Hey guys, welcome back to the GameTime Gazette, where we're talking all sports, talking NHL, MLB, NBA, NFL, European football, all of it and more, right here, right now. Let's go. Hello, people of the earth. Welcome back to the GameTime Gazette. This is your host, Isaiah Neni. Thank you for joining me on another day. I really appreciate you guys listening in another day. New week, had a really fun all-star weekend. I guess we could call it fun. I mean, there was a lot of points scored in the all-star game, and the Sabrina Ionescu and Steph Curry shootout was fun to see as well. So relatively, all in all, relatively, it was all right. It was all right. We'll dive into the all-star game, as we go on in the day today. I don't think it's gonna be as long as of an episode today. I'm gonna talk a little bit about NHL. Gonna talk about the All-Star game as I just did. Gonna dive into a little bit of Champions League that happened last week. A lot of European football, a lot of things going on over there, and gonna dive into the Champions League matches going on this week. We'll probably just preview more as we go on. Come back on Wednesday and preview the matches that happen tomorrow and the matches that are going to happen on Wednesday. Yeah, it's just going to be a great day of talk. And yeah, I'm excited that you guys have joined us. So let's get started and let's get going. Let's get going with the most, the most popular event of this weekend, which is the All-Star weekend. Just starting on Friday with the skills challenge, and then it was the 3-point contest, or not, the skills challenge. And yeah, you had a Sabrina Ionescu and the 3-point challenge happening on the Saturday, I believe. I'm forgetting it was on Saturday. It was the skills challenge, all of that on Friday. And then on Saturday, you had the dunk contest and the 3-point shooting contest, and that Sabrina Ionescu shooting contest as well with against Steph Curry. And then on Sunday, you had the All-Star game. And yeah, Friday, you've seen the videos, the skills competition, the way they just everyone's talking about the competitiveness of the All-Star weekend, right? And you look back to 2004 or even 2016 and compare it to 2024, and it's I think the video was 2014 where it was Giannis playing in the skills competition himself, right? And how just the size of the hoops that they have to pass the ball through, as part of that skills competition. Even Darren Williams, when he won it back in the early 2000s, in 04 or 04, 05, I believe, or no, 2000, in 2000, right? When it first, the early years of the skills competition, it was a much more competitive event, not only because the players cared a little bit more, but because the skills competition events that were there that you had to complete were not easy to do. The regular person that doesn't play basketball probably wouldn't be able to do it. Definitely not at the speed that the NBA players were showing out to be done. I think Darren Williams made it in 25 and a half seconds. And those are the types of things that the All-Star weekend brings, right? Because it gives you a glimpse of the athleticism of these guys, the skills of the NBA players without them being in a, high intensity NBA regular season or playoff game. So you're giving them skills competitions, your 3-point shooting, the dunk contest, and the All-Star game, which is supposed to be a pickup game, which picks up in the fourth quarter, but just hasn't been like that in the last few years. And everybody wants to talk about that, the competitiveness and how it really has gone. And yeah, you could attribute it to a lot of things. You could attribute it to the game changing itself. In terms of the All-Star game, just looking at the game itself, defense in regular season games is not played as, with the same intensity that it was 10 years ago, right? We have scoring up. That's also because, the skill levels of players are up as well. You're seeing a lot of 30-point game per game scorers in the league now. a lot of 25, a lot of 27. You know, like 25 is the norm. 25 used to be real high, to be averaging 25 points per game. You know what I'm saying? 28. Those guys used to be the top echelon, but like, you know, averaging 28, you'll get around like eighth, ninth, maybe sixth, you know, for in on that list for points per games nowadays. But that's, yeah, attributed to skill and, yeah, defense. The game has opened up more for the offensive game. You know, a lot of the rules, hand checking, you know, even the more defensive rules that for like team defense as well. Like we're looking at like the just being able to be in the key more, like for the big men, not wanting to open up that paint space. You know, the fouls for the 3-point shooters now as well, even though they're valid, yeah, you don't want players injuring themselves. You can't really have too much contact. That elbow, that forearm kind of shield that defenders used to be able to put up, to be able to put a forearm on, you know, the the hips of the offensive player. It's kind of illegal now. You can't have that illegal touching, especially if you could shift the play. Like, you know, like it's a lot of things that have really changed the game and defensively, and that trickles into the All-Star game, because these guys are playing 82 games this way, right? So why wouldn't it be in the All-Star game as well? Just looking at that, you know, that was my first thought. Like, everyone wants to blame the players and the intensity of how they play, but realistically, yeah, you know, they weren't going, you know, super duper hard before. It's just the game was played differently as well, where it was like there was defense being played on a regular basis. So this was like, it was normal for guys to, okay, yeah, like, you know, they just stopped playing games. It hasn't been too long, but it was normal for guys to pick up the ball and be able to just, all right, get back to it defensively in the All-Star game, especially just, you know, in spurts. Like if they wanted to pick it up in the fourth quarter, they want to coast all game and pick up in the fourth quarter, guys were able to do that. You know, and I'm not saying that, like, well, I am saying, you know, we don't have as much great defenders as we did back in the day. Nowadays, it's, you know, even All-Stars, you see a lot of them taking, you know, breaks on defense during the like real games and regular season games. And, you know, they'll pick it up a little bit more in playoffs, but, you know, it hurts them down there in the playoffs as well, because it's like, they're not even that great of defenders to be even picking it on and off. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, that's really what the NBA has become, where it's like you got to score more than the other team. But that's why we've seen in the last few years, yeah, when it gets to the playoffs, all that regular season, yeah, scoring more than the other team, it doesn't work if you're not able to get stops. We seen the Denver Nuggets win the championship last year. We seen who was versing the Denver Nuggets. It was the Miami Heat, right? And the Miami Heat played the Denver Nuggets. I just got a notification. We'll talk about the Nets, yeah, firing Jacques Vaughn as well. I remember, like, I feel like it was my second episode or my first episode in the pod where we were talking about the direction of the Nets. And I don't want to get too away from this, but yeah, that was crazy. You know, the Jacques Vaughn, I mean, not that it was crazy, expected, because you just don't know what's going on in Brooklyn. You know, they don't really have a direction as well. And now it's seeming like, yeah, are they even going to, like, what push are they going to, like, obviously when you fire your coach halfway through the season, you know, the organization is saying that they don't really have too much faith in what is going, obviously not, like, you know, obviously don't have any faith in what is going on in the organization or where the direction is heading, but don't have any too much faith in this season in particular, right? So hiring, so they just hired Kevin Ollie. He was the assistant coach for Jacques Vaughn. I believe Kevin Ollie was also the UConn head coach back in 2014 when they won the NBA, I mean not NBA, NCAA championship, national championship. I might be wrong. Definitely might be wrong. Haven't done my research on this, and I think he went over to the overtime elite a little bit, spent a little bit of time there, and then handed out to the Nets. I'm not sure, but I heard they were in like that coach that UConn team was in talks to be able to get this position, that newly open position for the Nets. But just looking at the team we were talking about, how they got draft picks for Dorian Finney-Smith. I believe it was like two first-round picks. They didn't want to go on that trade. Everyone was like, why? Mikal Bridges had like an offer of like 5 draft picks, something like that. And everyone was still asking the same question, the same why. Like, why would you not allow Mikal Bridges, or why? Well, like, what's the like direction that you're going as a team, right? And that's basically, I mean, if you're gonna keep Mikal Bridges, okay, then who are you gonna surround him around with, right? And they don't have the draft picks as well, don't have draft capital. Now, are they gonna tank to be able to go and get some good, pieces? Maybe in this draft, everyone's saying this draft is pretty weak, but I don't believe so. As we get to the draft, we'll talk a little bit more about that. But yeah, that'll be interesting. I feel like we got to get a whole Nets segment, because we don't got NBA basketball for a few days. We'll talk about the Nets tomorrow, but just wanted to touch a little bit on that. Nets hiring or promoting assistant head coach to interim head coach Kevin Ollie. And yeah, he's going to be taking over for, to the end of the season. And it's interesting because now they've had 2 interim head coaches in consecutive seasons. And they've had like 3 coaches in the last 4 years, something like that. So it's interesting how that's gonna pan out. How it's gonna pan out for the Nets. Got to find a direction. Got to find, a way to, like, because you even look at the Raptors, and the Raptors are tanking, but they have a direction. They have a player that they're gonna build around. They have 2 other pieces that could definitely be a 2 and 3 in RJ and Quickly. They have, a good. Well, they traded for, some good young rotational pieces, and they had some good young rotational pieces, especially looking at 905 as well, Javon Freeman Liberty. You're looking at Marquise Noel as well. Just a lot of guys that you could farm up from that Raptors 905 team as well. Not much. You were also talking about the Raptors having potentially 3 picks in this next year's draft. Going to have a few picks in the next year's draft. I mean, this draft coming up, they have 3 picks, and then next year's draft going to have a few picks as well. So, they have a direction. They have a player that they're going to build around. And that's what tanking teams have to have, right? And you just hope that the Nets don't get into that, Detroit Pistons, Charlotte Hornets. I mean, man, Brooklyn they weren't far gone from being there. They were there. They traded for KG, Paul Pierce, and that didn't work out for them. They traded away first-round picks that would have turned into Jason Tatum. You know what I'm saying? Like those type of trades, those type of deals. Either Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown. They missed out on one of them because they stunk that year. And the Nets, Boston had their picks. And Boston made great trades, man. Boston made great trades to be able to get those guys, and they did. And we're seeing Boston on the rise. And Brooklyn wasn't there too long ago, where their team was just not great. Got right back up. It didn't take them too long to get back up, so you just hope that just get back up. Love seeing competitive basketball. All right, let's get back to the All-Star game though. I keep rambling on here about the Brooklyn Nets, but yeah, okay. So let's move on from the All-Star game per se, because we could talk about the competitiveness of it all day. Really lost its aura. Who really knows what it is? I mean, you could add some more rules or help out the defense a little bit, but that has to be a whole league-wide thing, season-wide thing. I feel like the NBA allowing, or opting for an offensive game, opening up the game more, shot themselves in the foot. They shot themselves in the foot because, even the regular season games, we're seeing a lot of games more often than not get out of hand quicker, right? Because a lot of blowouts, a lot of, games where people aren't going to really tune in as well, and they weren't really tuning in as like that before for regular season games because there was 82 of them. Everyone was like, okay, we'll just wait till the playoffs. And then less defense, this and that. The game isn't as entertaining if it's not as competitive. Obviously, everybody wants to watch a good match. Nobody wants to watch somebody just get beat down, right? The 3-point contest wasn't that bad. Damian Lillard took the crown on that. Steph Curry beating Sabrina Ionescu. That was a great matchup. Steph scoring 29, Sabrina scoring 26. Sabrina scoring as much as Dame Dalla. Shooter shoot. That's what Sabrina proved. Props up to her. Enjoyed watching that event. Hopefully the NBA just, kind of just works with it a little bit more and has those type of things where it's just fun events, fun new events as well, not just recreating or not. Well, I guess that's recreating the 3-point shooting contest, but I'm saying not just redoing all the same old stuff, because we look at the dunk contest, man, was the dunk contest bad. I mean, it was one of the worst dunk contests we've seen in a long time, and it just keeps progressively getting worse year after year after year. We've seen the last good dunk contest, and that was even an all right one. The last great dunk contest was in 2016. The last good one was in 2020 with Aaron Gordon and Zach LaVine kind of finishing it off. They're never going to do it again. I mean, they gave us enough, thrillers. They're older now, right? I don't think they want to do that, stress to their bodies, this and that. Would be great to see them do a last hurrah, but, might have to just scrap the dunk contest overall. It doesn't have the same aura. I totally agree. I've seen, I believe that, not even trying to just blame LeBron James, but the biggest stars have to keep the aura in those games, right? If the biggest stars aren't dunking or going to the dunk contest, why would the smaller stars want to do it too? It's like you're not getting paid for it, at the incentivized as much as people want to say, oh, you just incentivize it, this and that. Who cares? It's still days off and these guys get paid regularly. I mean, not everybody would want to take it, but it's a thing for the superstars to show it as a responsibility, being a superstar, to keep that aura alive. So LeBron James, when he was coming out and he was a high-flying superstar, this and that. I mean, Kobe did it when he was young. MJ did it when he was young. We seen Clyde Drexler. Clyde Drexler, he's not even on the same level as these guys, right? But he's still a legend, though. Not even saying that he's not on this, he's a legend. But we're talking about generational greats. All the generational greats came out and did it. MJ, Kobe, Vince. Vince was a generational great for the dunk contest. So obviously, that's excluded because he's not even not generational great in the NBA, even though he was a great player. But MJ, Kobe did it. LeBron, if he did it, would have helped a lot more to keep the aura of the game. Because we see him doing it in the layup lines. We see him doing it, pre-game, having fun with it. If he did it one dunk contest earlier, let's say 05, 06, when he was earlier in his career, where it could have just kept up, especially after MJ retired as well. And they were looking at LeBron for, okay, he's the savior of the ratings. He's going to be the savior of the league, just like MJ was. And it's unfortunate that it happened to the dunk contest the way it is, regardless of what the reason is. But my suggestion is that they add in, a one-on-one contest, a 1v1, king of the court, man. Let's play some king of the court. Let's get out there. The only thing is that no player would want to do that, especially in this era, man. Everything lives forever. And, if Kyrie comes out, tween, steps it back and he drops you, it's gonna be crazy. You're never gonna hear the end of that. That's gonna be fuel to the fire, and no player would even want to do that less. So everybody's been saying the king of the court too, but that's the only reason. That's the main reason, and probably the only reason that I see it not working, because the embarrassment factor for some players, just because that will live forever, and they don't want to have that live forever. But it's going to be interesting what the NBA does, because they're going to have to add some new games. They're going to have to add some new aura to the All-Star weekend, because it's crazy that we've gotten to a time where the Home Run Derby and the MLB All-Star weekend has become the best All-Star weekend in sports. It's not the Pro Bowl. It's not the NBA All-Star. It's the MLB All-Star weekend and the Home Run Derby. And it's crazy because baseball's lost a lot of popularity, even though it's gained it back a little bit in these last few years, with these rule changes and shorter games and all of that, which has helped a lot. The NBA and All-Star game and the Pro Bowl those guys used to be kings. And yeah, the MLB in terms of entertainment as well, like in terms of entertainment, just solely entertainment, because probably still on popularity, the NBA and the NFL still trump the MLB All-Star weekends. But in terms of just entertainment, watching the home run derby, I'm entertained. I'm more entertained in watching the All-Star game and even though the East scored 211 points, I'm more entertained watching, the home run derby and them just doing their thing out there. Quickly before, because I said that we're going to do a shorter episode today, quickly before we get to, the end here, I just wanted to preview the European football that happened this past weekend. Seen a lot happen. One game that I really wanted to look at. I mean, I'm a Barca fan, so I had to look at it. I mean, the Barca game, end of the game, Xavi recreating the iconic meme with the house on fire and then just smiling towards the camera. Beautiful. Barca able to pull out a 2-1 win. It's tough. We've been tough. It's been a tough way to end the season. We're gonna play Napoli in the Champions League in the coming days. I believe it's tomorrow, if not Wednesday. That's going to be a match to watch. Napoli's looking to sack their manager. That's been the talk before the game. So, hopefully Barcelona could do what they can to get a win out there. Let's quickly look at the EPO. So we're looking at and also for the La Liga, the title race, it's still on. Barca's just 8 points off. Girona's 5 points off. Not 5, around, 5 points off. And, or 6 points off, sorry. And Real Madrid up there dropping points this weekend against Rayo Vallecano. They've been a tough opponent to everybody. I mean, they were even a tough opponent when Barca played them. They're a real good team, got great young players, young pieces, just can't string together the wins enough. I wonder if Falcao is still playing there. Falcao is still on his final arc. People forget about him. He was a great striker back in the day, back in his prime. Let's move on to the Prem real quick, and then we move on to the end. So looking at the Prem, seeing a game at Liverpool handling, their business, with a 4-1 win. It was a great game there for Liverpool, able to extend up their lead at the top of the table. Man U handling business against Luton, seeing Hodgland, he's youngest player to score in 6 consecutive games or something like that in the Prem. Impressive, very impressive. But the most impressive thing that happened in the Prem this weekend was that City lost. City dropped points. And if you guys remember last week, I was talking about Pep and all that guy just wins. And I still do believe that they'll eke it out at that, because that's just what Pep and City does. They like to add a little bit of drama. But losing to Chelsea, that was a surprising fixture. You've seen in the first half, Raheem Sterling able to score on his former club. That was impressive, right? And Chelsea at the end able to eke out the win. Yeah, just looking at the whole EPL, it's going to be interesting how it plays out, but just wanted to, notice that out. I mean, Chelsea hasn't gotten great results all year, and they haven't even beaten City in the past few years. They haven't been in City. I think it was the last time they beat City was in the Champions League final, where they beat City, right? But, they got a big win, and, Pochettino finally starting to get this team in form a little bit. I mean, let's see if they could get up from out of that, bottom 10, I believe, or not bottom 10, but, just outside the top 10, and I believe they're still 10th. So let's see if they could eke out of there and, move up in the table. It's going to be interesting to see. It's going to be an interesting season as we carry along and move along. It's going to be an interesting day talking sports tomorrow. We got a lot of things to go over tomorrow. We're going to go over some NHL scores that happened tonight. We'll go over the Champions League preview, just dive in fully to the games that are going to happen. Or sorry, Wednesday, we're going to dive in fully to the games that are happening tomorrow and Wednesday. When we come back on Wednesday, and yeah, it's going to be a great talk. NBA should be back on Thursday as well. So when that comes back on for that Friday show, it's going to be real, real fun. Going to have a lot of things to talk about before we head on to the weekend. So, stay with me this weekend. Let's have a good one together. Tell your friends, your family, your loved ones, you love them. You don't know what could happen. Praying for good health and for all, and I'm praying, for just God to enter your lives, whoever's listening to this, and, give you that peace and give you that security and that freedom you're looking for in whatever aspects of your life. Yeah, it's going to be a good week. Going to be a great day. I'm going to have some fun. You're going to have some fun. I'll see you next time. It's been Isaiah Aneni